Today on the show, a man who feels at home in digital worlds and declared artificial intelligence and complex algorithms his passion just about 25 years ago. Welcome to Behind the Keynote. Roger, great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Are you a bit of a nerd at heart?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, I'm totally a Star Wars nerd for sure, and I'm an IT nerd for almost 30 years now, yeah.
It's almost 30 years. I think I said 25 before. So when you first got in touch with AI 25, 30 years ago, what was that like at the time? How were people feeling about it? How known was AI? And how were you feeling about it?
I mean, the term AI was determined in the 50s, but until the late 90s and early 2010s, we didn't really talk about AI as artificial intelligence or generative artificial intelligence. So back then, it was more like an expert system, or you could talk to a system. It was more like a machine learning kind of thing. And the first touch I got was at IBM, and it was called IBM Via Voice, and you could talk to a computer, you could talk back. So that was my first touch.
How would we imagine that nowadays? Is that as good as our chatbots with artificial voices, or what was that like, that IBM computer back then?
I mean, not at all, not at all. It really sounded very clumsy, it sounded very metallic, and I mean, it was great to get kind of a response, and it could read emails to you, but it was far, far from ChatGPT's voice nowadays.
But still a great experience that I presume would have inspired you to learn more about AI.
Absolutely, and the interface and the interaction between machines and the humans is something that really tackles me today, because I think there's the biggest potential, together but not apart.
This is where you were at IBM back then. What about society? Where did society stand regarding all of these topics? Completely ignorant, unaware of what was happening, what was going on?
I think, first of all, it was really unaware, because to really scale the models we have today, the large language models, we needed, first of all, great capacity when it comes to processors. We needed more data, and back then it wasn't really about that. We had to establish the cloud first and then build the mainframes and everything, so that was a long way to go.
Where are we today? I mean, I presume most of our viewers actually, they have played with AI to create an image on Adobe Firefly. They might use ChatGPT to write emails on their behalf, or at least correct emails. Those are LLMs, large language models, that they are using. Is that truly the scope of AI? What we see as regular consumers? I
mean, it's the one that's really interesting and fancy, right? Because you can play with it and you see something coming out of it. There's an input, there's an output, but really beyond and underneath there is big complex algorithms in machine learning and deep learning within those neural networks that really drive society nowadays. And I think the biggest potential is in the data we don't see when it comes to automation, when it comes, for example, industrial production. But of course, ChatGPT and DALL-E and Gemini and the ones you mentioned, they're fancy to play with.
You've spoken about the less fun areas, the more complex areas in the industry, et cetera. Give me some examples of where AI is coming in handy and what changes it is making to quite other fields of the industry and business fields that we're less aware of.
So, for example, one great example somebody can imagine is, for example, we have a lot of satellite images that are used when it comes to catastrophes, for example. If there's a flood, an earthquake or something, and through the help of AI and machine learning, we can determine if something has changed. We can see and allocate the resources specifically to help people to allocate the resources there. Another field is basically when it comes to machine learning in industrial production. For example, if there's faulty items, they can easily be distinguished between one item and the other. And the great thing about is what distinguishes from classical machine learning is that those algorithms can learn. So if there's more materials coming up and there's more issues coming, one robot is learning and tells it basically to the other, and so the whole organism kind of is learning.
But still, it's not about the algorithm and the quality of the algorithm, or not only, but it's also about the data that you get as input. So the better the input data, the better the output.
Absolutely. So there's this misconception about the more, the better, the bigger data, the better. It's not. It's the quality, like you mentioned. So the more quality data we have, the more efficient those models are. And we are actually now moving towards small language models, which are less trained with less material, but higher quality. Even synthetic data is in that.
What do you mean by synthetic data?
So synthetic data is something that is created to train the algorithms, but it's not from humans being created, but the machines basically create the data itself. Through the help of AI, we create new patterns of data, which then the algorithms pick up and learn from.
One of the fears we keep hearing out there is, oh, AI is going to replace us as humans. There's going to be less work. How are we going to deal with that as societies? Isn't the opposite true, that AI is actually saving lives with what it enables and empowers human beings to do if we are working together, if we are collaborating?
For sure. I mean, at the moment, we really tend to work more because the AI, which we're using, generative AI, and also the machine learnings in industrial production, it helps us to be more efficient, more productive. Of course, we have to look as a society that no person is left behind, because of course this technology change is now much, much faster than, for example, the establishment of the computer or of the cloud or of the internet. So we need to be aware of that everybody can participate, but then I totally agree with you that together we can achieve much, much more.
If AI comes in as a catalyst to actually speed up us as human beings in our processes, to enable us, empower us, and so on. You're a coach that goes into companies, small businesses, large businesses, and helps these businesses embrace digitalization and use AI as a tool, as a catalyst. What is the initial response that you're getting? Is that usually a very positive response? Is there fear? Is there a scope of emotions that you're faced with?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of hesitance, of course. There's a lot of doubt. And once they embrace it, they see what matching is happening. And then there's a little bit of a change, right? They get very excited, very motivated. But then you also have to calm down the people again to see don't overboard when it comes to that.
So you're saying they get overly excited once they've experienced it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's magic, right? I mean, you just prompt something in the input and it creates a text, an image, a movie, whatever. It allows you to talk to documents, to data. And for the first time, it's basically the same thing as if you pick up the phone and there's somebody on that line, which you've never seen before. So it's kind of like an excitement, of course, yeah.
How do you start an onboarding process with companies? If a company says, Roger, help us out, digitization is something we should be doing. We've got older employees, 50 plus, they don't really like change. And then you go in, well, that's human nature. Humans don't like change, right?
Absolutely, nobody likes change, right? So what we try to tend first is to allocate the people within the organization that are already using this kind of technology. Mm-hmm. People learn best from other people. And if you have them within the organization, you can build up kind of like a little bit of an assembly, like ambassadors or trainer-to-trainer situations, where you basically help and elevate those people even further that will then train the other people. But you always have to start very small with a very basic case, like a pilot kind of case.
But to train all the employees, you go by the experience of other employees, so it's not you coming in going like, I'm the expert, I can do it, I love it, and I'm going to show you how to embrace AI, but literally here's how you have been using it already. You've made these experiences, let's build on those.
I see myself more like a coach on the football field, on the sideline. So of course I bring some experience, but the players have to play. And in terms of that, of course, it's helpful if somebody gives you some guidance. It helps you like to get the right strategy, the right tactic. But in the end, the organization within, they have to do it. And I'm just facilitating and coaching on the sidelines, leading with example, of course, but it's the people that drive the change.
I sat together with a few SMEs and they said, well, you know, digitalization in our field, I think we're good, we're fine, we don't really need to change, there's nothing to worry about, we're on track, we're doing what we've always done, we're fine now, we will be fine in the future. What do you tell them?
I mean, you always see what you want to see. And once I come in the organization, I show them what's really happening out there, their eyes are just opening up widely. And I think the best part is to be open and be inspired and see where you can adapt it slightly, because if you are reluctant to change, you will be changed.
If you're reluctant to change, you will be changed, right? So either steer it, put yourself in charge, that's your message, but change is never without risks in general. We're talking about digitalization, we're talking about cybersecurity risks, we're talking about deep fakes that are out there, phishing, quishing, all these different sorts of cyber attacks are still happening, and awareness needs to be raised as well when we're training staff members about AI, digitization, and new ways of work.
Oh, absolutely. And you just mentioned, of course, the very obvious ones that are phishing and deepfakes, but there's also things like bias, for example, bias within the algorithms, bias within the data, or what we make out of it. So there's a whole range of things we need to be aware of as a society, training the people rightly, but also give them the capacity and the ability to rethink again and questions the output. Because I think right at the moment, AI is kind of looked at as somebody or something that you can outsource your work to, but thinking should never be outsourced.
So AI does not do the work for us. We still need to do the work, but AI, as we said initially, as a catalyst, helps us get better at our job.
Absolutely. It's like a great equipment. If you're a sports person, the best shoes, the best watch, whatever, it helps you become better, more efficient, more effectively, but you have to put in the work.
You work with companies, you work with SMEs, the really, really large global corporations. What about your keynote speeches? You go on stage and you tell people, hey, by the way, there's AI, it's a lot of fun, it's great. What do they get out of those keynote speeches?
I really want to break it down to a very narrow case that people can apply to. For example, I often start with things that people are not aware of. How much AI is on our phones? How much AI is, for example, if you're taking a picture? What is within your computers, laptops already available? And then I show very practical examples. Talk to your documents, talk to your data, but very, very putting down to daily situations, because I think we have seen a lot of those high flyers, visionary kind of things, and they often forget what I think Apple did great in their this year developers conference, is said AI is for everybody, but we need AI for the rest of us, and everybody needs to embrace that.
So we got to break AI down and make sure we can truly connect with the potential there is. And what I find interesting that in the keynote speeches you do the same that you do in the companies, and you say, hey, this is not new to you. You're all already using it, and AI is all around you currently. So let's become aware of where we are already using it, how we are feeling about it, and then let's learn more about it. So that's the exploration journey that you lead.
Yes, I mean, you put it totally right. It's the awareness that needs to be raised first, because people tend to just have a very narrow scope on their daily work and what they're surrounded with. If you open up the options ones you're aware of, people start just blossoming like flowers, and they see all the opportunities they can use to. And I think that's the greatest opportunity, because then we can start using AI for good.
And then we have to slow them down again so they understand the risks and are aware of the true potential and where the biases come in as well. Give me some of the best practices for entrepreneurs. What do you need them to know?
First of all, try to use AI in processes and things you're spending too much time on, repeatedly, repetitively, meaning that whenever you do something again and again at the same time with the same scope, try to automate it, use AI for that.
So what you're saying is, like, use it for the stuff that is not fun to you. It's usually what all our employees hate doing. It's the chores that we all dislike. So let's start working on our pain points.
Absolutely, and try to standardize processes. The second one is try to talk to your data. I mean, nobody likes a big spreadsheet. Nobody really knows what's going on when it comes to a dashboard and things like that. But AI can help you understand it. One of the great hacks I often say that try to ask the AI to explain to you as if you are 12 years old. It's not an insult, but it's meaning like, try to simplify the output, so you try to get a hand of it and understand it better, so you can use and make use of it. So like you said before, it's a facilitation, it's enabling of the things and of the tools, and once entrepreneurs start understanding that AI can support them, so they have more time for the human talks, for the speeches, for everything that is needed, like for the interaction, the emotional part, they start really driving.
And those that are in client-facing positions, less admin, more time with your clients, and that's exactly where you need to be.
Absolutely. It's more quality, less quantity, because quantity can be done by AI.
Thank you for the work you do. Thank you for supporting SMEs and for supporting society on that exciting journey. What I'm taking with me from this talk with Roger Basler de Roca, first of all, thinking is a little more intense than ChatGPT, so we have to embrace that technology and work alongside that technology. And secondly, when companies say that everything is different with us, we're fine, we're doing good, we don't need to get on that journey, you will be put on that journey and you will become a passenger on the AI journey. Thank you so much, Roger, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching, and I'll see you the next time on Behind the Keynote.